I've said goodbye to you many times, not knowing if I'm going to see you again.
Hey guys, meet Ahmed, our new interpreter.
You have tallies approaching?
John, you're going home.
We owe that man your life.
Ahmed ended up with a price on his head from the Taliban.
I have to go back to Afghanistan and get that man and his family out.
So you will do what you have to. You'll come back alive, John Kinley.
This isn't just a movie. It happened. When a local interpreter risks everything to save an American soldier, it sparks a quiet war no longer fought with bullets, but with silence, bureaucracy, and broken promises. What happens when loyalty isn't mutual? Guy Ritchie's The Covenant flips the war film formula on its head. It's not about soldiers being rescued. It's about who does the rescuing and why the world often looks away. The film kicks off after the tragic events of September 11th, 2001. The United States deployed troops to Afghanistan to dismantle terrorist networks. To aid in their missions, the military enlisted local interpreters, promising them and their families visas to the U.S. in return for their invaluable assistance. On a blistering day, Master Sergeant John Kinley and his unit are manning a checkpoint. Translator Haydari teams up with Jizzy to question drivers. One driver grows agitated. Tomcat and JJ pick up on the tension. Kinley orders Haydari and Jizzy to search the truck's cargo. Chow Chow and Jack move into position. But suddenly, the driver panics. Then a bomb goes off. Jizzy and Haydari are killed. The team mourns. Kinley now needs a new interpreter. He carefully picks Ahmed, who comes highly recommended. Ahmed proves sharp, steady, and committed. Kinley feels confident he's found the right fit. With a new team formed, their mission: find and dismantle IED operations. The next day, they patrol the streets and reach a suspicious building. Ahmed knows the spot and warns that intel will be tricky. Kinley presses on. They're led inside, a hookah lounge full of passed-out men and scattered pipes. Overwhelmed, Kinley slumps into a chair. It's clear the team is hitting dead ends. Another day, another lead. The unit heads deep into the desert. Intel says Taliban forces are making IEDs there. Due to washed-out roads, a backup translator suggests a detour. Kinley agrees. Midway, Ahmed pulls Kinley aside. Something feels wrong. Kinley halts the convoy, sending men to scout a ridge and check for enemy presence. All looks clear, but suddenly the second translator tackles Kinley, gun at his throat. Kinley draws his weapon and tells Ahmed to drop his. Ahmed hesitates, then obeys. Turns out, the translator's family was taken hostage by the Taliban. He was about to walk them into an ambush. Intel confirms they were seconds from death. Back at base, Kinley learns Ahmed's son was murdered by the Taliban. It all makes sense now. Still, Kinley sternly tells Ahmed, "Never disobey me again." Frustrated by bureaucracy, Kinley vents to his superior, Colonel Vokes. Vokes can't authorize off-the-books missions, but he won't stop him either. Sergeant O'Brady overhears and hands Kinley a vital name for their next move. They locate a drug dealer who might know about the IED network. Instead of a strict translation, Ahmed negotiates directly, offering cash. The dealer gives up 2 locations. Turns out, IEDs are made in parts across multiple sites. No centralized factory system. The team heads out and strikes gold, an active bomb site. Kinley radios for backup, which is 15 minutes out. They push forward, only to find men torturing an Afghan civilian. It's too late to save him. Gunfire erupts as more Taliban arrive. In the chaos, the team is wiped out. Only Kinley and Ahmed survive. Fleeing in a stolen pickup, hunted by a dozen militants. U.S. forces eventually recover the fallen, but Kinley and Ahmed are still on the run. Their truck suffers a flat. They ditch it and head for the mountains. With radios dead, they trek on foot, deep into the wilderness. As night falls, they camp under the stars. Meanwhile, the Taliban leader orders his men to find them at any cost. Morning comes. They detect enemy radio signals. Time is running out. They quicken their pace, stabbing 2 unarmed men in the valley to avoid being spotted. On another hill, 2 men with binoculars almost catch them. but then do. Gunshots echo across the canyon. They escape to a house, but Kinley's hit leg, stomach, shoulder. Ahmed kills the attackers, throws Kinley in a truck, and drives. On the way, Taliban men stop the truck. Ahmed plays it cool. One rides with him, two in the back. Kinley lies motionless under blankets. Ahmed tends to his wounds and barters the truck for food, medicine, and a wagon. He pushes Kinley up a steep mountain, shielding him from the sun. Kinley fades in and out of consciousness. Eventually, they spot the U.S. base in the distance. At a roadside shop, Ahmed buys water, but Taliban trucks pull up. They search the wagon. One lifts the blankets. Kinley's exposed. Ahmed acts fast, kills them, just as U.S. forces arrive. They detain Ahmed until Kinley is discovered alive in the wagon. Shock floods their faces. Kinley wakes up in a hospital, then finds himself back in Santa Clarita, grilling steaks for his family. But something's off. He's not at peace. Ahmed and his family are still in hiding, their visas stuck in red tape. Kinley makes endless calls, spends hours on hold, begs for help. Nothing. He drinks. His family worries. Even his baby's visa is delayed. One night, alone in his office, another call drops, and he finally snaps. What would you do in Kinley's shoes? Back in Afghanistan, Ahmed gets a tip. The Taliban know their location. He hides behind the door while his wife grabs their go-bag. An intruder bursts in. Ahmed kills him. The family escapes out the back as fighters storm the house. They vanish into the street, blend into a dinner table, then flee in a truck. Kinley turns to private contractors. His wife offers to mortgage their house to fund the mission. He demands Colonel Vokes guarantee the visas, no more delays. Vokes warns him there's a bounty on his head. Still, Kinley returns to Afghanistan under the alias Ron K. When he arrives, he's told the operation is postponed due to a visiting UN official. Kinley refuses. He's going in alone if he has to. He gears up and meets Ahmed's brother, who secretly supplies heroin to the Taliban. The brother provides a driver to help Kinley reach Ahmed. At a checkpoint, a guard gets too curious. Kinley kills him. They dump the body, but a Taliban spy snaps a photo. Now, Kinley is compromised. Reinforcements are dispatched. Meanwhile, Ahmed's fixing a truck. Suddenly, Kinley appears, wearing glasses and a hijab. Ahmed's stunned. Kinley has their visas. They pile into the truck and speed off. Private contractors mobilize, but time's short. The spy IDs Kinley as John Kinley, not Ron K. The ops chief realizes the mistake, sends an Angel of Death gunship. Taliban forces close in. Kinley and Ahmed fire on the lead vehicle. It crashes, blocking others. They abandon their truck, set a grenade trap in a tunnel, and blow it as the Taliban arrive. Then they retreat to the other side of the dam. Gunfire erupts from across the canyon. Ahmed's wife hides their baby in a shed. Kinley runs out of ammo. Their driver is killed. Ahmed uses his last pistol rounds. Just as the Taliban charge, the Angel of Death gunship arrives, obliterating the attackers. Kinley and Ahmed's family are rescued by helicopter, then board a U.S. transport plane. They exchange a final, meaningful look, respect, gratitude, survival. A poignant message highlights the plight of Afghan interpreters left behind, many of whom face dire consequences for their service. Zooming out from the blood and bullets, what deeper truths is this movie trying to tell us? What happens when loyalty becomes disposable? The Covenant begins not with an explosion, but a betrayal, one born from silence. Thousands of interpreters like Ahmed stood with U.S. forces, guiding them through enemy terrain, shielding them in moments of danger. They didn't wear uniforms, but they earned their place. What they got in return were promises of safety, of escape, of a future. But when the last helicopters lifted off, most were left behind. Their service turned into a sentence. Their loyalty was met with absence. And if loyalty is no longer honored, if it's something we can discard when inconvenient, what kind of future are we really building? If systems fail the brave, what does that say about the system? In the Covenant, the real villain isn't just the enemy on the battlefield, it's bureaucracy. Paperwork becomes a barrier stronger than any wall. Ahmed is reduced to a case file, a number stuck in an unmoving system. Lives hang in limbo because policies are slow and hearts are absent from process. It's a brutal truth. Even heroes, the ones who bled for someone else's country, could be erased by inaction. And if those who risk everything are stalled by red tape, who exactly are our systems designed to protect? How many more voices are silenced before we truly listen? Ahmed's story isn't just Afghan, it's global. From Syria to Ukraine, Sudan to Gaza, millions of lives are displaced by wars they never asked for. Governments promise resettlement, relief, safety, but those promises, like smoke, fade fast. The Covenant is a megaphone for every quiet voice, every forgotten refugee waiting for a future that may never come. The film doesn't just ask us to care, it demands it. What happens when the war ends, but the danger doesn't? When the media reported the fall of Kabul, they framed it as an ending. But for those left behind, it was only the beginning. The beginning of hiding, of being hunted, of living one day at a time in fear and knock on the door. The Covenant makes that silence loud. It reminds us that withdrawal isn't the end of war, it's a transformation. One where the battleground becomes invisible, but the casualties continue. In the end, it's not just about the action, it's about what sticks with us afterwards. The Covenant is a brutal, emotional, and necessary reminder that war doesn't end with treaties. It ends with how we treat the people who helped us survive. This film doesn't ask for your applause. It asks for your awareness, your outrage, your empathy. Guy Ritchie, best known for his fast-talking gangsters, strips everything back here. What remains is a story so intimate, so driven by quiet humanity, that it hits harder than any bullet. On the flick verdict scale, this movie is a must-watch. Honest, well-paced, and driven by purpose. This one earns its place as more than just another war movie. This isn't just a must-watch, it's a must-feel. It's the kind of story that sneaks into your conscience and stays there. Because whether you're watching from a couch or carrying someone across a desert, a promise is still a promise. And the Covenant proves that keeping it, even when the world forgets, is the purest form of heroism. What did you take away from this film? Would you risk everything to go back for someone who once saved you? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Got a movie you want us to cover next? Let us know. Your pick might be up next.